Davies in the middle. Checks back against Carter and scores. That is atypical for the Amina Margot.
Quickly gets it back again. Oh, what a goal! Well, that sums up her season. The Gunners are UWCL champions.
Welcome back, everybody, to a Vic Akers Wonderland transfer special podcast episode. Yes, it's me, Adam Salter, and I'm joined once again by the amazing, superb Unnati Naidu to discuss Arsenal because they've made a transfer. It's unbelievable. They've made a transfer. It's cracking news because Mariona Caldentey has moved from Barcelona to Arsenal, and Unnati, the Barcelona expert that she is going to give me the rundown on what Arsenal can expect in the coming days. So, Unnati, we will talk about Mariona, but we have to talk about yourself. Last time you were on the pod, you were working at Ata Football, doing a lot of work journalism there. A year on, a lot of stuff has happened since we last spoke. I wonder if you could tell us what you've been up to since you were last on the pod.
Hi everyone. Hi Adam. Yeah, I have obviously I was working for Ata Football back last year, but then Ata Football was acquired by the giant we know as DAZN Football, and now I work with DAZN, and I work there as their senior writer and the social media manager. So whenever you see something really cool on social media account of DAZN, it's probably me. So yeah.
Well, if anyone's been following the Instagram, you'll be your Instagram, your photo Instagram, and obviously the DAZN Instagram as well. You'll be able to see the unbelievable Unnati photos, and they are superb. And as part of you working with DAZN, you got to go pitch side for your first ever. Well, it was your first ever Champions League final in person, but it was your first time photographing a Champions League final, and it was, of course, your beloved Barcelona against Lyon. And what was that like being in the stadium? I mean, I was lucky because I was fan. We were just a few yards from each other. But what was it like being a photographer in that environment in the Champions League final?
Oh, it was speechless. I was speechless, first of all, because it was a dream to just be a part of something so big, so grand, and then have the opportunity of being pitside doing what I love to do. It was just unbelievable, to the point where I believe when they started playing the anthem of Barca, and when the tifo went up, I had to control myself, like let my emotions not get the best of me, and I had to control myself, and I was like, don't cry, there are too many people watching, you can't cry right now. And yeah, I don't know, I somehow managed to control myself and I did not cry, but it was I believe I can say the best day of my life, without a doubt.
Yeah, I know you were very anxious going into the game, and we should say, from beyond your personal experience, how did you feel the game was as a spectacle, and obviously Barcelona winning? How did you think Barcelona played? Because obviously you've seen them from afar in two previous finals against Lyon, didn't go so well. Third time lucky, magic of three. How did that sort of compare? How did you feel they did?
You know, like the last two times when they played Lyon, there was this sort of anxiety that was a lot worse. Like, obviously you saw me how anxious I was going into the game, but I think the anxiety that I had to is like for Turin, or when we played Lyon in 2019, I think my anxiety was far worse. way worse than what it was this time. This time I had that confidence that they're going to go into the game, they're going to play well, and then they're just going to win. But like, obviously the minimal anxiety was still there, but I was far more confident than I was previously. And I think that sort of because, how do I say it, like, we've seen that they can perform, like they can go down, they can go behind at halftime and then come back and win a bloody game, like they did it in Eindhoven, and it was very much possible. So that fear that they would collapse if Lyon wins and like scores 2 goals in the first 30 minutes of the game, it wasn't like they would collapse this time. Like I knew that they were mentally a lot more stronger than they were previously. So yeah, it was just that, knowing that, it just became a bit more easier to have that faith and confidence in the team that they can just go ahead and win the game.
I mean, I was watching it in the stands, and my feeling was it got to halftime 0-0, and I thought Barcelona got a chance here because, as you said, the previous 2 finals against Lyon have had a 3-0 or 4-0 lead after 30 minutes. The game's over. The fact that Barcelona was still in the game and it was much more evenly matched in previous contests, and the fact that it was practically a home game. Barcelona had about 80% of the stadium was there. The noise was terrific.
80%. I believe it was 90%, 95% actually. Dare I say it, because cough cough, I should be very how do you say, neutral, but I cannot be in this case. I believe the entire stadium was just Blaugrana, and I could barely see Lyon fans. So
I mean, I think there was a few specks of white on the far end of the stadium, but the dominant sound and the dominant colours and the dominant flags were that of Barcelona.
Yep.
And I did feel, watching the game, thought they're in this contest. They've matched Lyon, which they've never really done in the previous finals. And then the goals happen, thankfully, right in front of us, which was quite nice in the second half. Now, you got a really good view because Bonmati got the first goal, set up by Caldentey, which we're going to get to. But Bonmati's first goal, bit of a luck with the deflection, but celebrated right in front of you. What did you make of that one? And did it, I'm assuming you got some good photos of it as well. What was it like from your position seeing that happen? Because I did see a fist bump. I know you're meant to be neutral as photographers, but I did see a little fist bump when she knocked the first one in via the aid of
So I'm someone who's very professional at games, and I don't let like emotions get the best of me, because that's how my job is. I'm supposed to be a neutral person, taking photos, understanding the game, and reporting as per a neutral reporter, but I just could not control myself. After that goal, because listen, Lyon has been a thorn in our side for quite a bit of time now, and I actually spoke to fellow photographers at halftime, and I was like, 30 minutes are done, Lyon's not scored, and it's halftime now, and Barcelona has practically completed half the game. Half the job is done. Now they just need to go ahead and score, because in the previous 2 matchups, it's always been Lyon finishing the game in the first 30 minutes, and that was the biggest obstacle that they had to sort of overcome, and they went ahead and did that. So for me, it was just about them just going ahead and scoring, and then Aitana comes and does what Aitana does best. She was set up by the unbelievable I know we're going to talk about it later, but like, then she was set up.
Yeah, the pass from Caldentey, it's such a delicate pass. It's beautiful.
Like, this is Barcelona, okay? This is Barça, and this is what we do at our best. And that goal was just such a good example of that. And when Aitana scored, I was like, yes. And that's why that's the reason why you saw that fist bump up there. I was like, hell yeah, now's the time, keep yourself focused, and we got the first goal, let's go ahead and finish the game. And yeah,
I can't move on from this moment, this final, without talking about the second goal. We have to bring it up.
Listen,
for two reasons. Firstly, because Alexia Putellas is obviously your favourite player, and secondly, because she ran in the wrong direction, or rather, you were sat in the wrong position.
Let's just put it this way. I was sat in the right position at the beginning of the game, and then I decided to switch at halftime because I was stupid, right?
But
I did manage to get a very good shot of her goal, which I was really happy about. I will forever regret changing positions though, but at the same time, I was listen, let me tell you, when she scored, okay, the first second I was taking photos. The next second I was like, you know what? My job be damned. Oh yeah, Alexia, vamos, Alexia. And I was like, Champions League is ours, Tercera is ours. And I just lost it. I was like, professionalism be damned. Alexia scored. It's the queen, La Reina scored. Like, there is no other way. I can't not celebrate. So no. Yeah. You noticed I stood up from my chair and I was just fist bumping and screaming the whole time, and I was worried that some security guard is going to come and tell me, please sit down or I'm going to have to throw you out of the stadium or something like that. But no.
I mean,
I was so happy.
I think you could be forgiven in that moment, and the shirt was off. It was the bow celebration, and it just felt like it was a sort of an overflowing of emotion that's sort of been built up since was it 2019 was the time you faced Lyon previously, first time round rather, and it was sort of that that the setbacks are getting to you in, and then finally
it was ironic. It was so ironic and iconic. The reason why I say this is because, first of all, it was ironic because Alexia was the first player who got our first goal of the season in the Champions League. Okay. And then she was the one who closed off our Champions League campaign. Right. But at the same time, it was also iconic because when you look at the bow that she had at Camp Nou, right, you would think that nothing could be more iconic than that. No. Something can be more iconic, which is she goes ahead, she renews her contract just days prior to the final, right? Where there are so many noises around her, where people and media outlets saying that Barca has fallen out of love with her. There is push and pull happening with her contract situation, etc., and other clubs are eyeing for her. She has never given a damn about the other clubs. Like, the only club she cares about is Barca, and she re-signed a contract with the club of her life. And then she goes ahead and she scores that fantastic goal, right? And that celebration is, for that very reason, very iconic, because when she did that at Camp Nou, she said this: she was one of us. And then when she did it in Bilbao, she was one of us again. And all that trauma that she's been through with her ACL injury, and then re-injuring herself on the first match day of the Champions League, and then coming back the way she has, and then to finally just come back to the big stage in such a cracking way. Yeah, she absolutely deserved it.
And obviously the celebrations after, now you got to go on the pitch. You actually got to be amongst the celebrations, taking photos. Didn't you? Or were you still pitch side for them? I noticed you sort of just decamped to moves. Were you on the pitch mingling with the players, taking the pictures, or were you?
Oh no, so I had to be pitch side. Like, technically we did have access, but I was supposed to be pitch side.
Okay, all right, and then you were obviously at the celebrations the next day in Barcelona with them up on the balcony. How was that? You were taking pictures. How was that as well, being amongst the fellow Barcelona fans in the city?
It's very funny because the year prior when they did this, I was sitting back at home and watching it from Mumbai, and then this year I was here So yeah, it was very special, but at the same time, you can sort of feel the connection that the players have with the fans. Like the reason why I say that, you can see that connection is because how much we've been raving about the theory of three, the magic number.
Yes.
But the fact that they actually are collectively delusional as we are, and just believe something that we've held on to so tight to give us any sort of hope. The fact that they do it with us, and then we possibly have conversations with them about it. So yeah, you can see the sense of connection that the players have with the fans, and it's beautiful.
And what I'll leave for this last moment before we move on to the next bit is Kira Walsh. I was repping at the final.
Yeah.
I repped the final. I thought she was amazing in the final. I thought she had a terrific game. I think what fans really want to know, and it's really important, when are we going to get that Catalan interview? When are we going to get that interview of her speaking in Catalan?
I believe Kira has answered that already. I believe she's going to do that after the international break. And I believe Aitana is going to be the one helping her. So good luck to Kira, because after Adeo and Rio, I don't think she knows the word of Catalan so far.
No. Well, she knows more than me, so fair play to her. And one of the things I talk about is from the perspective of an Arsenal fan, and the work that we've done at home with Arsenal, with the North Bank, the Red and White, and the sports club. We've done so much good stuff with our club that we do stuff that a lot of the fan base in the WSL don't do, and it's really good. And we have fan marches and all this sort of stuff. But then you go to Barcelona for a Champions League final, and they are leagues ahead. And I hope that. I know there are a lot of Arsenal fans who do have a keen interest in Barcelona. They've gone over to watch Barcelona play in Champions League matches. I hope we can harness a bit of that Barcelona magic and bring it back to North London, bring it back to Arsenal, and just keep that ball rolling. As you all know, Arsenal got more games at Emirates Stadium this season, so there's more scope for more fans, maybe bigger fan marches. I think Barcelona is fantastic. They finally done it. It's the first quadruple in their history, and one hopes they'll go on to bigger and better things. I do want to just quickly. I want to move on to the transfer, but I just want to say with Barcelona now winning this Champions League, it's their third Champions League now, and they've finally beaten Lyon. Do you see them overcoming Lyon's European sort of legacy and then becoming the bigger team on the European front? Do you see them in the next, say, 10 years catching up or even overtaking Lyon in terms of the European trophies?
I do see them catching up to Lyon, definitely. To be very honest, they've amped up investment quite a bit. Obviously, it's something that we've learned from Lyon, where that one final in 2019 in Budapest basically taught us so much into how we should be investing into the game, etc., how we should be investing into the team. And the club has really done that. And, I believe the way that they're going ahead just gives us the opportunity to, try and, I wouldn't say surpass them, because obviously it's gonna be a while before anybody surpasses what Lyon has amassed over the years, but I believe they will catch up to them. I mean, Barca is on the way to catching up to them, so I believe we will reach that level as them, because it's like, with zero disrespect to Lyon, they have taught other clubs, and they have shown other clubs what investment can do to your team and how you can win titles, etc. But the sort of fan engagement that Barcelona has brought in, I don't believe Lyon has done that. So yeah, in that sense, Barcelona is way ahead of Lyon, but in terms of winning, yeah, it's still gonna be a little bit before we sort of overcome them.
I do find that fascinating, because in that sense, Lyon remind me a bit of Chelsea, in that they've had these years and years and years of success, albeit Chelsea's at domestic level, Lyon's on the European level. But despite that sort of conveyor belt of success of major trophies, the fan base hasn't sort of matched it. Maybe because they are a team that started their success at an earlier period in women's football when fan bases weren't really picking up. And I look at Arsenal, they've won a business award recently for the best attendances in Europe. They may not have, let's say, as many major trophies as Chelsea in the WCL era, but their fan base is bigger. And I saw that at the Champions League final. The Barcelona haven't won as many Champions Leagues as Lyon, but their fan base is huge, much greater than Lyon on the day. And I think if you got those two powers of a strong team, a really strong fan base, and once those trophies, I mean, they're hoovering up all the trophies at home. Once those Champions League trophies start hoovering up, they're going to be unstoppable as a team on and off the pitch. And that's a really exciting, but a really sort of scary prospect to a lot of other teams. So we'll watch that with interest. One player who won't be part of that juggernaut machine is, of course, Mariona Caldentey. We put it off for long enough, but we'll tuck right in. So this is something that's sort of been on the rumour mill for quite some time. Those of you who follow the likes of Tim Stillman, he mentioned on Arseblog that this was a player Arsenal were interested in. It did feel like a sweetener sort of response to the fact that they were getting rid of their previous star player, Vivian Miedema, who's obviously without contract, was not given a new contract and has since departed the club. So where to begin? Well, we'll start at the very beginning. So 2014, Mariona Caldentey arrives at Barcelona. She was from, I believe, Mallorca. She comes to the club. She was not part of their academy. I believe it was what was called the La Masia. She was not part of La Masia, but she's always had a strong sort of Barcelona heritage within her family. So I was wondering if you could just sort of tell us how Caldentey came to be the Barcelona star that she's been for the last 10 years.
Well, the best way to sort of describe Mariona is she's very underrated. Okay. She usually goes undetected is what I would say, more than underrated. Because when you see the players on the pitch, you talk about, say, Alexia, Aitana, a lot more than you would talk about, say, someone, for example, like Mariona. But Mariona is equally doing as much work, if not more, for the team. But the reason why she's not talked about is still unknown. But she has the capabilities that is so unique that I very rarely do you get to see a player like that in any team. So it's over the years, Mariona has always been somewhat a player who you could count on, and because of that, her versatility is just immaculate, and in the forward lineup. So because of that, there has been lots of changes being made. She's pushed herself, she's worked hard, and all of those reasons slowly ended up with her being one of the most important players that we need on our team. We need it.
Yeah. And how was it she came to be at Barcelona in the first place?
I believe she was signed obviously in 2014 by oh, sorry about that. But yeah, I believe in the beginning it was more or less we'd made transfers obviously after Alexia came in 2012. We were trying to build up a proper women's team and work our way up to being professional, etc. So she comes in at that time, and then she's never looked back from there.
I mean, it is an interesting one. I said about her of the academy that you mentioned about Alexia. She was she says she's Barcelona sort of through and through. She is sort of Barcelona, even though actually she was signed in. She wasn't a Barcelona player. She came from elsewhere, and Mariana's sort of the same, but she's always had deep-rooted sort of Barcelona heritage because of her father, because of the the work he did. I think it was with the was it the fan clubs they have, the
Yes.
Peñas.
The Peñas, yes.
Peñas. So she's always been a Barcelona player at heart. She's been there for 10 years, hoovered up all the domestic trophies. I believe she predominantly plays as a left forward, if that's correct, on the left side of the attack.
Well, yeah, technically yes, but at the same time, she's also played false nine. She's also played sometimes, in the midfield. So yeah, she is very versatile. So she can play anywhere up front, technically. but at the same time, she can also play as a left midfield on the left midfield.
We'll get on to a bit where she might fit into Arsenal in a bit. I was just looking through some of the trophies. So she's won 5 Primera Divisions, which I think is basically like the Spanish version of WSL, 5 Copa de la Reinas, 4 Super Copas, 3 Champions League, including the most recent one, and of course, the World Cup. And as you mentioned earlier, she did assist Bonmati for the opener. It's a lovely sort of delicate, it's a very subtle pass, which I quite liked. It wasn't a big ping of a through ball. It was a lovely, just delicate sort of flick around the corner, and it just unlocked out of nowhere the space because she'd drawn in the likes of Ellie Carpenter out of position. Suddenly, Bonmati was clear to run through. Now, obviously, she's been at Barcelona for 10 years. Her family is deep rooted in Barcelona. She's won all these trophies. Barcelona are on the up. They've got this amazing fan base, but she was out of contract. So why has she left this trophy winning machine to come to a club which on recent track record has only won 2 Conti Cups in the last 5 years? Serial sort of third place finishes, only 1 second place finished in the last sort of 5 years. Losing away at West Ham and Spurs last season, which wasn't great. Why has she left? Why has she moved from Barcelona to Arsenal?
Well, I believe there is someone who's already on the team by the names of Laia Codina, who is a little bit of an influence, in my opinion. No, but realistically speaking, she believes that she wants to try something new at the point of life where she is. She still is in her prime, and she has the opportunity to try something new, try a new club, because realistically she's always just been at Barcelona for 10 years. So, and she has pretty much won everything that there is to win with Barcelona. So the idea of trying something new appeals to her, and to try something at Arsenal where you have someone like Laia Codina already talking good things about not just the club but also the league, has sort of helped her out to sort of think that, okay, she wants to try something new in a different league, possibly in a more competitive league. And I believe that's one of the biggest reasons why she has wanted to move.
You mentioned her being a very sort of you didn't say underrated, but sort of goes undetected sort of in the team. Would you say
under
that
the radar? Yeah,
under the radar,
definitely.
yeah. Which reminds me of sort of thing like we always talk about at Arsenal, like Kim Little's like the most underrated player in the league, or Leah Velti. But do you think with the players like Alexia Putellas, who's won Ballon d'Ors, and Bonmati, who's recently won the Ballon d'Or, she's a Ballon d'Or holder, would you say that she's somehow maybe her talents have been overshadowed by some of the other Spanish talents in the Barcelona team, and maybe this is a chance to maybe sort of come out of her shell, if you will, and maybe because she's going into a team with no Ballon d'Ors?
I believe not. So here's the thing: Mariona has had her ups and downs. Okay, she's had her ups and downs with injuries, but she's always come out of it stronger, and I believe this is the best streak she's had without an injury, which is really good, which was this season. So in my opinion, it's not about her being overshadowed. It's always she has done a lot more work than just scoring goals, and sometimes luck has not been favorable to her at the same time. So it's never been that she's been overshadowed by the more star players of the club, but it's more or less been like she goes undetected because sometimes how do you say, you would say that she's also sort of the playmaker of the team, rather than someone who would just go ahead and score tap-ins and try to get all the fame and the glory.
Do you think though she would relish being not? She's going from Barcelona, where she is one of the best players amongst a team of really like world-class players. I mean, that Barcelona team, let's be honest, is stacked with world-class talent. Most of them won the World Cup because most of them are Spanish. But she's going from that team to a team where the players, no offense to the Arsenal team, the players are really good. But Mariona Caldentey is going to come into that team being one of the best names on the team sheet. Is she going to sort of relish, I don't say the pressure, but maybe the responsibility of maybe being that player they're going to start looking towards, and the players are going to look up to, thinking, wow, we've got a World Cup winner on our team who may well win the match on her own, or may provide that crucial intervention, like, let's say, a certain Dutch striker used to do a few years ago for Arsenal. Do you think that she'll relish the responsibility of being potentially that player for them, their race player?
You sort of need to understand how Spain and Barcelona used to work. Now, Mariona has been on the team for like 10 years, and so have most of the other players that she's played with. And so when you play with someone for that long, you end up forming connections with them on the pitch. So it's just, you know them blindly, how they work and how they function on the pitch, which is why it sort of becomes a bit more easier to just make the pass and know that, you know, your teammate is going to be there to score the goal. For example, what we saw in the Champions League final, like she made that pass because she knew that Aitana was going to be there to go ahead and, you know, score the goal. But when she comes to Arsenal, it's going to be a different system. It's going to be a different style of play. It's going to be a different style of play from the opposition as well. So, you know, it's going to take time for her to get adjusted and get used to it before they can start relying on her. But at the same time, she's going to have that pressure on her, which I believe in a certain way that she is going to enjoy, because I believe that is what she's gone looking for.
I mentioned about Viv earlier. I would say for about 3 years or so, she was, I'd say by sort of 2018 to about 2020, maybe 2021, she was the best striker at Arsenal. She was the best striker with UWCL. I think there could be a case to be made that she was one of the best strikers in the world in terms of what she was doing with Arsenal, in terms of what she was doing, winning games sometimes on her own, but also assisting other players. She was just one of the finest players we've ever had at UWCL. We never saw that Viv, well, we didn't see that Viv in the last sort of 2 seasons for obvious reasons. She has since gone, and that does leave a sort of a hole in the team. I think that there might be some fans that might see this and just think this is going to be like the next sort of Miedema off the bench. Would you agree with that sentiment in terms of position or in terms of play style? Was that an unfair comparison?
No, absolutely not, because the style of play that Mariona plays is very different. The position that she plays is a lot different. The kind of understanding of the game that she has is a lot different than what Viv Miedema would do. Okay, so the way I see her is that she is someone who knows how to break the lines, make through passes, you know, knows how to play the game well, in the sense that she can find spaces that you normally are unable to find, you know, in the tightest of plays. She knows how to find the space and, you know, probably give you the perfect assist. Like I said, she's the playmaker rather than a proper number 9 striker. She's not one of them. She is very versatile, so she can play as a 9, but she would rather be either a winger or a false 9. So I believe, when you ask me, I believe she would be mostly playing a number 9 at Arsenal, because I see her fit in there a lot more than I would see her fit anywhere else. Or maybe play as a left winger in certain situations, and also sort of give a lot of competition to Caitlin Ford, because you know, she has not had the best season, in my opinion. So having a player of Mariona's caliber give competition to Caitlin Ford would actually do her a lot more good, because then you start fighting for your position.
I mean, you raised a great point about our left wing. It's been well documented. Our left wing has been, it's really held us back this season. Obviously, the injury to Lena Hurtig hasn't helped. It's meant to say Caitlin Ford has sort of been played into the ground. It feels, I don't know if this is the right way to put it, but it feels like if Lena Hurtig departs, and I think we assume that might be the case, you're almost doing a major upgrade. And this is not a slant on Lena Hurtig whatsoever. It's just the matter of circumstance. It's a massive upgrade on what was her position, and so all of a sudden you've got someone who's leapfrogged over to basically take Caitlin Ford's slot. Suddenly you've got effectively, Caitlin Ford. Let's make no bones, she's a really good player. I mean, she's not rubbish. She just had a really bad season, and I think you're right. I think left wing could be a prime position. One of the things about
what it allows is like, for example, if Mariona is able to, adjust really quickly and take her position, the way that she plays, etc., etc., what would actually happen is that there would be really good, healthy competition between Caitlin Ford and her to fight, each other as the starter. Because that allows Caitlin Ford to push herself more and try to, give her best possible. Same with Mariona. So at the end, it benefits Arsenal more than anyone else.
I mean, I know you're going to have a bias here with the Barcelona hat on, but in a fight between Caitlin Ford and Mariona Caldentey, who do you see winning the arm wrestle for the starter for the left wing? If Caldentey adapts quickly.
If she is able to adapt, that ass Mariona. I just believe that she is one of those players that is so unbelievable, because when you watch her play live, she is just outstanding, in my opinion. Sure, she's had injury issues, and she's had her ups and downs because of it, but finding a player of Mariona's level and football intelligence, etc., it's hard to ever find a replacement for her.
Just quickly, we talk a lot about adaptation, and we saw Alessia Russo last season. It took a bit of time to sort of change from the player that maybe she was to maybe the player Jonas wanted in terms of an out-and-out 9, and she used to come deep lock for the ball. We lost a bit of threat in the box. By the end of the season, she was becoming that 9 that we were looking for, and she was looking quite good. Is this going to be another case where Caldentey is going to take a season before we see the real Caldentey, or does she have that footballing intelligence that she could adapt to how Arsenal play and how Jonas wants to play? And the follow-up question is, Miedema she wasn't compatible with how Jonas wants to play. I think we can all see that now. Jonas tried her different positions, it didn't really work. Is this signing in inverted commas, Jonas signing? Is she going to complement the way Jonas wants to play with the high press, high intensity, get the turnovers? You mentioned about the through passes. Is this a signing that is actually going to complement the way we want to play, rather than having to simply waste a season finding a place for her in the team so we can get the best out of her?
I believe, she has the intelligence to adapt quickly, but at the same time, it's going to take a little bit of time. I wouldn't say an entire season, although I would love to give her almost an entire season, because let's be real, she's played tiki-taka football for 10 years. So it's
she's got to unlearn it. She's got to unlearn everything she's learned.
So I wouldn't say unlearn it, but it's more or less like adapt to playing the way Jonas wants her to play, as well as remembering like what she used to play, how she used to play rather. So I believe it's going to take a little bit of time, yes, of course, but at the same time I believe she has enough football intelligence in her that she's going to be able to adapt quickly. But at the same time, I believe she has the capacity to play the way that Jonas Edwall wants her to play. I believe she'll fit decently well enough into the Arsenal system.
That's really that's good to hear. And I think the first time we'll sort of see her play will probably be those Champions League qualifiers. I think which would be
yes,
late sort of August, early September. Who knows what we'll get? I mean, as long as it's not Paris FC, we'll be happy with that. What I find quite interesting about this transfer is that if you're looking over the transfer windows we've had previously, the majority of the signings are sort of falling within this sort of age 20-24 bracket. So you've got the likes of Victoria Pelova, Kari Cooney-Cross, Katrine Mollakul, Laia Kadina, Gio as well, although that's gone on a very different tangent now. But those signings are sort of fallen into a sort of age 20-24 bracket. So younger players on the brink of potentially becoming great with a bit of sort of coaching and nurturing and sort of moulding them into the Arsenal way. Caldentey is 28 years old. She's very much not a player to be moulded. She's a player that is sort of there. She's in her prime effectively. So it's rather interesting that Arsenal sort of flipped from going from youth to experience. Do you think this is a start of a greater trend, or do you think this is an attempt to maybe sprinkle a bit of experience in the team? Because you can go too youthful and then be, because these players are quite raw and proven, but they're like Palova's had an amazing season. Is a sprinkle of experience what Arsenal sort of need now to sort of not get them up a few notches in the league?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because while Arsenal has a great set of players, a great set of youngsters, where they're looking into the future, essentially bringing in a player who is in her prime, is also a very experienced player who knows how to win trophies, is going to be instrumental for Arsenal, because it's not just about bringing an experienced player in, but it's also about a player who's experienced enough to win a trophy, okay, also being able to contribute on the pitch, into the team, and also help push that mentality in of how they can, push themselves to be better, etc., is going to help them quite a lot. Because let's be real, in a team, you need a very good mix of youngsters and experienced veterans, and that's how a good combination of them is going to help you to win more and more trophies. Because if you look at Chelsea, for example, in the same league, they have a good mix of not just youngsters, but at the same time, really good experienced players. So it's that perfect match that you need in order to win. So hopefully, Mariona's experience is just going to be instrumental for Arsenal to hopefully back some trophies. Because I would be very upset if she went there and won nothing. So.
I mean, just to touch on Barcelona briefly, there's a few things going to raise. Firstly, Caldentey was, I think we could say she was a key cog in that Barcelona trophy winning machine. I think they've won, was it all but one? They drew one game and so far won all the rest in the league this season. They've won all the trophies, etc., and have done for years. With her gone, how hard is that going to be to replace that player? How difficult is it going to be to replace her in the team?
The way I see it, and this is my personal opinion, we cannot replace a player like her. We simply cannot.
Well,
I mean,
that's an endorsement and a half.
Yeah, well, that's my personal opinion. We cannot replace a player like her, because she is Barcelona through and through. She's a Barca player through and through, and she's a culé through and through, in my opinion. But at the same time, the sort of play that we would get with Mariona, from the wings, etc., it's, in my opinion, pretty irreplaceable. But we said the same thing about Like, and then
yes, that's the player I was thinking of.
The funny thing is, what we had with Like Martens was never replaced, because even though we pushed Mariona to the left wing, obviously, and she played left wing for us, I don't believe we got the same quality, what Like would give us, because Mariona and Like are two different players, but at the same time, pushing them in the same position was not exactly what we didn't get the same exact, result the way we wanted, obviously.
Do you think this may create a change of style at Barcelona? They'll have to play it in a different way to keep winning, not just because of you can't play. I mean, as we've seen with England and Serena Wiegman, you can't play the same players in the same style forever because you get found out and the game does evolve. Will Barcelona have to change the way they're playing to stay ahead of the curve and to cater for absentees, that are players that have left the club? Do you think that's maybe where they'll go, or do you think they will stick with their principles and just sign new players?
I mean, believe me, the way I see it, I believe we're possibly going to be doing the same thing that we've always done, play the Barca way. There is no this to it. Like, you can try to figure us out, but we're just going to keep surprising everyone. That's the way I see it. But realistically, we had the same question arise when Like Martens left the club, and essentially the same questions now arising when Mariona's going to leave the club. So, in my opinion, it's obviously still going to be the same way. We continue playing no matter what. Obviously, we were going to miss her, in the team, because I believe she was one of the most important players on the team. But at the same time, we're going to find a way out.
Well, yeah, we wish Barcelona all the best, because I mean, as an Arsenal fan, we've seen many talented players who we think we could, not live without depart the club. One has just done that very recently. So for us, it's going to be very interesting how we cope, and obviously the same for Barcelona. One more on Barcelona, and this is very much tongue in cheek, but you can take it any way you want. Obviously, you lost Lyon last summer. Mariona Caldentey is coming this summer. So which Barcelona player are Arsenal due to sign next summer? Do you think will we get more Matty? Do you think could get Garen Hansen? I mean, who's next on the Barcelona conveyor belt that's going to come the Arsenal way?
I believe the words I want to use are inappropriate to be used on this podcast, so I am just going to shut. Can we just move on? Just shut up.
Well, bring it back to Arsenal. You mentioned about obviously the fans have got a very close connection with the players, and I think we've seen on social media and in the stands that connection is quite strong here as well. I've already seen that Arsenal fans have already got a chant lined up for Caldentey. I don't know if you've seen that on social media. It's to the.
Do you know how heartbreaking this entire time has been for me?
I know, and this is why I really appreciate you coming on, because I know this is what I mean about the bond of the player, the bond between the fans and the players, because you're obviously a Barcelona fan, and losing a Barcelona player is like losing a limb. But I can think of no one better to know what that player is through that bond. Arsenal fans have strong bonds with players. As I said, they've already got by the looks of things, a chant lined up for Caldentey to the Beatles' Twist and Shout. It's a riff on the Mo El Neni chant. There are lyrics and videos about, so do keep an eye on it. How quickly do you think this player will, when she's on the pitch, how quickly do you think the fans will take to her style and so forth? Because I say there's chance lined up, but we haven't seen a play yet. And sometimes I think like Kadina was a bit of a slow burn in the end, but I think fans are I think as she's got accustomed to the club, so has the fans as well. And they got, they're singing her chant now. And on my reliable form, she might even take the Sab chant next season, which was obviously a cracking chant. But do you think when she gets playing, do you think this we'll get like we did with Russo, that she'll click straight in?
I don't believe she's going to click in straight in. It's like I said.
Do you think the fans? Do you think it'll click with the fans though? Do you think they will take to her style?
Maybe, but I have a feeling it's going to be very similar to how they went ahead with Laya, because again, Mariona is someone, she is smiley all the time, but at the same time, it's gonna get she's gonna get a bit of a shock in terms of how cultures are a bit more different back in England. So it's gonna be it's gonna be a bit of a change, but yeah, hopefully soon enough she's gonna fit right in.
I mean, we should say she has had some Arsenal experience. If you go back through the archives, she actually scored against Arsenal for Barcelona. This is way back. I think it was the 4-1 win. We lost away in Barcelona. She got the opener. So she just a bit of awareness of some of the players. I think it's going to be very interesting for her, because she's gone from playing in the Camp Nou and playing. Is it the Olympic Stadium they're playing at this season?
The Olympic Stadium, Luis Companys.
So how big's the Olympic Stadium roughly? Is
it 60,000? So
she's gone from that to Meadow Park. Meadow Park.
I mean, you guys are playing at the Emirates more often, so I believe she's not going to have a bad time there.
No, I think the Emirates Stadium.
Mariona, if you feel like just coming back, just come back. It's okay. We gave you a chance to explore something new. You can just come back. It's fine.
I was more thinking the FA Cup game, obviously the league games and hopefully Champions League games if we get that far. I think she will slot right in. In fact, I would say from a Champions League perspective, didn't go so well for us last season, but the season before got to the semi-finals. Having a player of that experience, Champions League experience, who's gone deep in the competition more than once, got to multiple finals, has won finals, I think that could hold Arsenal in very good stead. What will happen? I just think if we get through the group stage and Arsenal draw Barcelona, I know, just imagine. But this is more. This is more trying to get an idea of the Barcelona fan base, because there have been times in the past when an Arsenal player has, say, left for another club, and they've come back with the other club, and they've sort of been given the pantomime reception you might expect. How do Barcelona fans treat players who have since departed and come back? Just because their fan base is, I've seen myself, they're so passionate and they're so loud and so loving. would they treat this departure? I mean, look at the Russo deal and what happened, and Man United fans, she was out of contract, left the club, went to Arsenal. Man United fans didn't take that so well, which I kind of get. Would Barcelona fans see this as a sort of a thankful farewell, or would they see this as some kind of betrayal? Just as how would the fan base, do you think, will react to this departure?
She's loved by the fans, irrespective of what people want to say. So
that's good.
I know that you're always going to have fan bases where they're pretty divided over how they think of player departures, but I know there's going to be a big chunk of fans who are just going to be very happy, irrespective of how she comes back to.
So if she comes back, let's say we draw Barcelona away, we go back to the Olympic Stadium, she'll get a round of applause from the home contingent, or a welcome home sort of celebration for her, you think?
I mean, I don't believe they're going to be playing at the Olympic Stadium at the time. They're just going to be playing back at Johan.
Johan, sorry. Yeah, at the Johan Cruyff, sorry.
It's the Johan Cruyff. I believe she's. We are not going to want her to win, but obviously, but we would want her to do well. That is 100% sure.
And
I know personally, I want her to do well. I want her to do well because it's a big step to go to a different league, etc. So yeah, I want her to do well.
And you sort of half answered, but it was just my last question, because I think I've tortured you enough on this one. But when it comes to signings, and we've had a few transfer windows, and there's been quite a few wins, and there's been quite a few busts. I mean, I was joking about obviously Lottie, but we did also sign another player from Barcelona who I think we can say has been a bust. And I think that Gio will go probably somewhere else next season. Like, I can't see her staying at the club, just simply what's happened. But I think so far answers. But as a player coming to the club, do you think Mariona Caldentey will be a success at Arsenal?
If she's able to adapt, 100%. Oh, 100%. She'll do good there. That's my hope. So yeah. Do not disappoint me, Mariona.
I hope so too, and I hope she does the Arsenal Cannon proud. And if she gives us even 1/10 of what she gave Barcelona, then we're going to be on for a winner, and I can't wait. Unnati, you've been unbelievable, and I said it before, I've tortured you for long enough on this pod. I know.
Yes, you've tortured me enough on our trip, so
Unnati, what we said, what goes on tour stays on tour. That was it was a fun. I'll say for those who don't know, I was in Spain for a week, soaking up a Champions League atmosphere and enjoying Barcelona and Bilbao. Beautiful cities in Spain, and I was lucky enough to share that experience with Unnati, who was like my tour guide for the week, and it was amazing, and I can't wait to go back to Spain one day. If we draw Barcelona in the Champions League and the group stage, if we get that far, I'm getting an away ticket to Barcelona, and I'm going with the away contingent, because I love that Barcelona fan experience, and I want to experience it again, even if I will be on the other side of the fence with that one, and if in all probability we will lose. but that's there are qualifiers and playoffs to get through before that. Unnati, thank you so very much for coming on the pod. Do please tell us, where can we find you on your socials, and obviously not just your personal socials, but obviously your work socials, and obviously where can we find your amazing photographs?
You can find my photographs on Instagram at Unnati N Photo, and on on Twitter you can find me on Unnati Naidu _97. My personal Instagram account will be _Unnati Naidu. And if you want to go check out my portfolio, I have a website called the Football Terminal. So you can go on footballterminal.com and you can check out everything.
I've checked out the website, and it's pretty good. I mean, I couldn't make a website, so I think that's and the portfolio is incredible, because you don't just do obviously photos, you do written work as well. You do a lot of content for the DAZN. Do keep an eye on those DAZN socials. There's a lot of great content on there. I can't recommend it enough. If you want to follow me, I know I pale in comparison, because I also took some photos when I was in Spain, but they're nothing compared to Unnati's. But I also do a lot of talking and rambling as well, much like on this podcast, and you can find that at Adam Salter 4. And if you want to watch some Arsenal clips of years gone by, there are the August August collection is now up and ready to go when August comes around. So there are lots and lots of games in the pipeline to enjoy. You can enjoy that at the AW Archive. But that's it, at the end of the pod. So Arsenal have made a first major signing of the transfer window. Mariona Caldentey is a Gooner, and we can't wait to see her play. Nothing left for me to say, but come on, Mario. Come on, you Gooners.